Hello and welcome to FBL Broadcasting and the Bucks coronavirus update. I keep on hearing on my headphones, so I'll just turn that off. Mayor Mike Smith is with us today from the Aylesbury Town, who is the Aylesbury Town Council, Aylesbury Town Mayor. How you doing, Mike?
I'm very well, thanks, Martin. Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, and you. And thanks for these weekly updates. I know, obviously, you've got other things that you're doing, and it's really nice that you do this. I've had a few people obviously contacting me, say that they like it. Numbers are going up on YouTube. So, I suppose the first thing to do is, are you well and you okay?
I'm still keeping well, yeah. Still occasionally getting bored of my own company, but that's how it's got to be. Yeah.
But you did say your next door neighbour is obviously making sure that you know that he's in.
Yeah, it's two ladies next door to me that are doing some very serious DIY with electric saws and drills and all the rest of it. Very, very impressed. People finding ways to keep themselves busy. All I can do is wander out and pull up a few weeds in my garden now and again. I haven't got any big projects on the go.
Have you not? I've got a few, but I'm too busy trying to get information and try and obviously do things with this. So I have got to cut my grass. That's another thing. Or maybe I can get the kids to do it. They seem to just trying to get away with that at the moment. But as typical kids do. Oh, Dad, you can do it. So did you see the press conference earlier about the numbers?
I did. I saw the headline numbers. So what was it? 449 additional deaths today, which is a decent drop. I mean, it's come to something when nearly 450 people have died today from something that we didn't even have a few weeks back. And in relative terms, we're seeing that as positive news because it's less than half the number we had just over a week ago when we were hitting 900 plus. So it may still be too early to say, but I think it feels like a flattening and possibly a reversing of the curve, which is what we've all been waiting for. It doesn't mean we're out of the woods yet. We've got a way to go.
I'll just bring up those. You'll be able to see it on your screen as well. I'll just bring up the stats, so to speak, and try and bring it down. So, I mean, what they showed in the conference today was transportation is down. Everybody's obviously just staying home. New cases in the UK, it's gone up to like 4,500 or something. Looking at my thing there. And then talking about the curve, that's the people in hospital. So that's the curve that they're referring to, I suppose, on the death rate. But you can see London's gone down. And as I said last week, we are a major link to London. Or become, we're at the end of the line. So that's quite a good number for us to be looking at as well, that line there, because it does actually, I think, have an impact on people to and froing. South East has seemed to stabilised. Obviously, we want it to go down, but it shows that I don't know if anybody can see my mouse, but South East seems to be doing good. And then obviously the next bit is the global death comparison. They've started to include all other settings in their figures, not that they show it in their blue line. In the UK it says hospitals only, but on the left there, if people are looking, it says UK all settings. It's in grey, which it's kind of hard to see through there. Maybe they could have chose a better colour or something, I don't know. But yeah, you're right, the curve it's changed. It's on its way down. They are talking about, well, the press, or the mainstream press, is talking about things like an exit plan, but they're just batting it off, and people going back to school definitely are not.
No, I think there's possibly, I don't like to say too much optimism, but some of those rumours about schools reopening, allowing smallish gatherings, I think we're probably still away from that yet. And I think the government would want to see more of a flattening and a reversal of the curve, and that being sustained for possibly a couple more weeks at least before they even start thinking about it. But I'm second guessing. I'm not an expert. I hope that I know the government are listening to experts, and we've seen some very knowledgeable people involved in those press conferences. and I hope that the guidance is wise and sound, and gets us back to normality as soon as we safely can be.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the 11th of May, the next review. But I think by then, if everybody adheres to what the government's saying about staying in, not going out unless you really need to, I think that might be good news on the 11th of May. So
I hope at least some good news. I think it will be good for people to feel the pressure they're under, and I think everyone is. It's not a normal situation for any of us, but if they can feel there's a chance of a slight lifting bit by bit and things are going in the right direction, I think that will brighten things up for people, and we can look forward to summer possibly being a little bit more like not quite a normal British summer. I don't think we're going to get there that soon, but certainly less restricted than where we are at the moment.
Yeah, I think you're right there. The summer is going to be, it'll be nice if obviously restrictions are lifted and we can, for instance, have live in the park.
That would be great, yeah.
It would be a great party. A great celebration, wouldn't it? The firework display at Proms of the Park at the end of it all as well would definitely be like excellent.
People will really be wanting to let their hair down, and some of us will have quite a bit of hair to be let down by then with not being able to get it cut.
Well, my son had his hair cut by his sister today. So
how did that
go? Well, to be honest, I was too busy trying to set up here, and he got in my way a little bit earlier when he was moving a chair, and I was like, he's like, what? I was like, can you get out of the way? Because I'm trying to set things up for this. So I didn't really get a good look. So I'll look at a little bit later. But she seems to, from what I saw, it was quite a good job. But if I say that, that means I might be next on the chopping block. So I'm a bit scared. I am totally scared. So keep your eyes peeled. They'll probably live stream it now and then. Which I don't want them to do. What was I going to say? So, interesting fact come up about 2 days ago in the press conference of Number 10. They said about the cemeteries, about them now to be open because people do need to mourn and stuff. So I see from your tweet yesterday, it's now open. You've actually classed it as open.
Absolutely, yep. So we talked about this before. The guidance was not previously absolutely cast iron, and different councils were interpreting in different ways. But when the minister I think it was about 5 o'clock on Saturday, that the firm steer, shall we say, came out that cemeteries should be open to visitors. I'm going to praise my fellow members of the town council here, because within minutes of that announcement being made, the town clerk, the senior officer, emailed me and the leaders of the council. We had a little discussion. We said, yes, we need to follow this. We will reopen. Can we reopen Monday? Actually, no, we think we can reopen tomorrow, i.e. Sunday. We had staff available to open the gates. Couldn't open the public toilets. As I mentioned before, there are sort of hygiene and safety reasons behind that. But as of yesterday, the cemetery is back to being open for visitors to come and tend graves and mourn their loved ones. Obviously, we want people to social distancing rules. There is not a 2 metre space between, so if two people alongside each other are trying to do what they need to do, they need to work out a way to make that safe. And as I said, the paths are quite narrow, so again, we really wouldn't like to see large numbers of people coming to the cemetery immediately using it to walk around, because that could lead to problems. But so far, touch wood, it's all been very sensible, and we haven't had any issues. So we're really glad that we've been able to reopen.
Yeah.
I know there's been a few people who, over the Easter weekend, wanted to come and visit a grave of a loved one. Unfortunately, they couldn't, but now they can, and that's good to be able to do that for people.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I was going on about it last week. People need to mourn. It's and you can't really do it at a funeral because of the limit of 10 people. So to be able to actually be there, I mean, again, just think about it. There is this COVID-19 out there. Just keep your distance at least 2 meters. People say 2 meters. No, it's at least 2 meters. And I mean, yeah, and then hopefully, everybody can pay their respects and obviously continue on with their day as well. But it's good news. Good news, and you could have released it today, and then there would have been a breaking news with FBL broadcasting. But never mind. Maybe next time. But I'm glad that's all sorted.
The important thing was to get one of our services back open to the public at the earliest opportunity, and that's what we wanted to do, and that's what we were able to do.
To be honest, that's all I want. As long as they're happy and everything's good for people to do what they need to do, then I'm more than happy. I could have said to you, "Oh, can we do a breaking news now?" Then, but no, it's fine. I did actually forget. Just going back to the numbers, I saw 613 cases for Buckinghamshire. Do you have anything different on that?
No, I have the 613 as well. Okay. What I don't have an update on is about 613 cases. I don't know how many deaths
was that
there have been.
Last week, wasn't it? I think we had 50. Did you say 50?
It was 50 as at, I think. When did we last speak? Just over a week ago?
Yeah, it was just over the 11th, I think it was. Yeah. So, I mean, there has been, of that, I've found 1,572 have passed away in the southeast area. Who have tested positive. So again, these numbers are always based on or seem to be based on the hospital stats. This is the thing about the UK, all settings that the government's now releasing. That's why the numbers went up to 16,507 today. Is because I think they're including, obviously, other places like care homes and stuff where people have obviously been tested and unfortunately have passed away. So yeah, but that's still a big number. 1,572 deaths in the southeast area, and it's really sad. So I really hate having to talk about something like that. I mean, it's you look at those numbers. That's 1,572 families. So again, keep your distance. Just only go out if you need to. So let's move on to some information, if you don't mind, to the public, which if I can get the right tab, here we go. So, first of all, actually, I'm going to fade it up. Youth concern, definitely. If you can throw some money into the kitty, as they say, that would be really nice, because that's your charity that you're sponsoring.
It is. Thank you, Martin. And they are, like all charities, struggling a bit for donations at the moment. But the demand for their services is growing, and there are young people out there feeling very alone and very vulnerable and needing support, counselling, help, steering towards advice, and that's what Youth Concern do every day of the year. And the demand hasn't let up just because their doors aren't open. Their phone lines are open, their social media are open, and there are a lot of people still needing their services. So a bit of extra help financially would be absolutely great.
Well, maybe we can do something after this lockdown's finally gone and FBL can come along and we can live stream, I don't know, some kind of special event or something, and try and get a donation page up and running and see what we can do there as well.
So I have a new concert up for last month and this month to raise money for Youth Concern. I sincerely hope that as soon as we're out of lockdown and reasonably large size gatherings are safe to hold, that we can reschedule those and keep the money flowing in.
Yeah, if we can help out, just let us know.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, just slightly, Aylesbury Town Council website. It's a nice bit of information to let you know what's going on out and about. It's got a bit about the mayor, the agendas, so that you can find out any information, obviously read the minutes. You've got quite a few things in there. I think it's definitely worth commenting. I don't know if there's anything you want to specialise on targeting, Mike.
Well, I think the website generally is a gateway to our services, grants, help with what we're doing for youth concern, etc. As you can see down there. One of the things we are doing is some of our spare allotment sites have been given over to groups who are growing money for food banks. And I did want to mention food banks because I visited the main Aylesbury Food Bank last week to help raise some publicity for them. We were all standing more than 2 metres apart in the photographs, but I saw at first hand that the work that's going on and that the demand for food bank services sadly is growing because some people have lost their jobs and they're now relying on benefits, and generally they're having to wait up to 6 weeks before their benefits come through. So the food bank, that's right, yeah. So the food bank is busier than ever, and coronavirus has some quite interesting impacts on services like that. So the food bank has a little van. They load up with food parcels. 2 people hop in the front of the van, drive to one of the distribution points, quickly unload, and go on to the next round. With social distancing, you can't have 2 people in the 2 front seats of the van now. So the delivery process is taking longer. So they're desperately trying to get a loan of another van or a van with a 3-person front seat so that they can have the 2 people suitably separated. So while the demand for the service is growing, the speed at which they can deliver it is being hampered by circumstances. And those are the kind of things you don't really realise until you go and see firsthand what they're up to.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what we can do. If we do it, we can do this live. A little soundbite. So what I could do is I can take this from this wonderful time that you've given me, from this recording, and I can actually post that to, for instance, the FBL Facebook page, and hopefully we can find out if any, I don't know, maybe enterprise or whatever companies are out there can maybe lend a van for the situation. So, an urgent appeal from the mayor: can somebody help out the food bank?
Absolutely, it would be great, and they're very much in keeping with the spirit of what everyone's doing, helping each other out, putting their business assets to community use to help us all get through this crisis. So, the Aylesbury Food Bank website also has details of how you can get donations to them, and of course, anyone that's out shopping, most of the main supermarkets have a trolley where you can buy 1 or 2 extra items and put it in to go into the food bank coffers.
I have seen that, and I've heard it on the tannoy as well. They've actually been in the supermarkets I go to anyway. I've actually heard that. So that's great. So hopefully we can get them a van. I don't know what sort of van they'll need, but I don't know, double berth or anything, and hopefully more food as well. It is. I don't know about the universal credit. I know about the 6-week thing, but I think they've said on the press conference they're looking at reducing that time frame, because that is quite a long time, 6 weeks to be waiting for, and really, I don't care which political power's in or not. I mean, to wait 6 weeks when you have nothing is a long time. So that really does need to be looked into. Maybe I'll take that up with MP Greg Smith on Wednesday, because it's quite bad that people are having. I mean, people having to use food banks anyway isn't good, and especially
it's not. It doesn't feel to me like something that should be happening in a major industrialised, developed country in the 21st century, but it is, and the demand is growing, has been growing over the last few years, and has really escalated recently because of the circumstances we're under, and it affects even if someone's let go from a job with 4 weeks' pay or 2 weeks' pay. That's still potentially 2 or 4 weeks where they've got no money to feed their family, and that's really tough situation to be in, as well as all the fear and uncertainty around coronavirus. You don't know if you're going to have enough food in the cupboards to feed your family. That's a really distressing situation.
Yeah, I'm really passionate about, obviously, certain things like the food banks, that they shouldn't be there. We shouldn't need them. And when people, we all worry about crime. And it's quite interesting. A couple of days ago, they said the crime's down by 21%, I think, on last year or something. And I was like, well, that means it's still at 80% speed, so to speak. 80% crime is still happening. So what do they mean by that? I need to chase that up with somebody and get an interview with them and see what they've got to say about it, because that's the flip side. Yeah, crime's down by 21%, but everybody should be home. So that
it would be interesting to see what sort of crime is down and whether any other sort of crime is up. You'd imagine there'd be less burglaries because people are at home.
Yeah.
Their cars are on their front drive in front of the house, so it should be more difficult to steal a car. So yeah, it would instinctively you think, why isn't crime down by 50 or 75%?
Yeah, if crime was down by 80%, you think, oh yeah, well 20%, that's fair enough. There's online crime. There's obviously, one of the big things, domestic violence. There's been a lot about that, about obviously things going on with the coronavirus. So
that does create a difficult situation for some people. Yes,
that is, and again, if you live next door, or you hear something, obviously trying to raise awareness to that, because sometimes they do suffer in silence, and it's kind of hard. There was a thing as well, dial 55 from your mobile or landline phone. If you phone 999 and you can't talk, press 55. And I think they said that in the press conference, and I never knew about 55 in any situation. If you can't talk, press 55. And I think that's a nice little note to get out there to people. So if you are
really useful,
in very difficult circumstances, obviously. Usually, if you phone 999 and you don't speak, they will try to find you. They will try and locate you using all the services and special powers that they have. But to press 55, obviously, to confirm, I'm actually calling
immediately, straight away, no doubt about it. I'm in trouble. Send help. Yeah.
Yeah, 55. So, so food banks. Again, I'll do a little snippet on that, and I'll send that out. Maybe Aylesbury Town Council can share that as well if they're allowed to on their sites. But yeah, we'll get that out there. So an appeal for a new van, correct? A van that they can use in the Aylesbury Food Bank.
Doesn't it? Well, a new or second-hand van, or the loan of a van for as long as somebody can spare it, as long as it's, I suppose, it needs to be clean and roadworthy. Get in touch with them and see whether it's suitable. It may be that since last week they may have found something, but I haven't heard that, so I feel there's no harm in asking, and if there's someone out there with the means to help and the desire to help, which I'm sure there would be, then...
You mean a man or a lady in a van?
Indeed, yes.
Yeah, so we could do... there you go, so maybe volunteer. If you've got a van and you can actually help out, there's another idea, isn't there?
I think so. I don't see why not.
Yeah, okay. All right then, that's the soundbite. I think that's pretty cool. Is it going back to the Aylesbury site, Aylesbury Town Council site? Is there anything else? There was in February. Again, we had a little chat earlier. Make Will Month. Obviously, with the dire situations of what's going on, doing your will, no matter what time of year, is sorry, I'm just scroll past it. Is an important thing anyway. I think solicitors have a little joke between themselves. What's the first thing they do after they get married? And that is redo their will. So it's a true joke, apparently. Hopefully people can comment.
Yeah, well, I've had I've had several wills in my lifetime, having been married twice and divorced twice, but that's an entirely different story. But I
For
think
another day.
keep the will up to date is not the kind of thing people like to think too much about, but just get it done, make sure it's appropriate to your current circumstances, and then you don't leave your loved ones with an extra burden of trying to sort out financial entanglements because they're not clear on what your intentions are.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be surprised that I've done a will. I've had it checked over, and some things I thought were just covered in it are not. So getting it signed as well, and getting it obviously verified and signed is, yeah, you need that done, and you need to keep the original, whether you keep it at solicitors or somewhere. You do need the original. Apparently, I have a couple of messages on here. I'm just working out whether stay ahead. Oh, it just says do a silent collection for the social fund, maybe a gift aid for. Well, it just says here. I think it's my brother actually. Get the bigwigs at the council to do a silent collection for the social fund, maybe gift aid. So I don't know what that is. That's what he means by that. Silent collection. Don't know what. Oh, food bank. I think that's what that's for. Oh, okay. That's so he's put it in the comments. He's put it on the comments section. Oh, I might as well own up. It's got his name on there anyway. That's my brother. But do they have a site, the food bank, for donations?
They do, yes. Yeah, I should have had the details to hand, but I haven't. But I think if you Google Aylesbury Food Bank.
Shall I use my tech and just quickly see if I can dig it up? Aylesbury Food Bank, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a look. It takes me a couple of seconds to do this sort of information, and people see it. I can maybe put it in the comments as well. So Aylesbury Food, helping local people in crisis. Aylesbury Food Bank. There we go. Give me one sec. This is tech, eh? I feel like I'm being watched now because I'm doing something. It's like, oh, right. Let's just put it in here. We'll put it up on the screen for everybody to see, which will be nice, and hopefully stop looking at me. There you go. There we go. There we go. I've got it. Helping local people in crisis. There you go. Over 1,200. Is that 1,200 meals they do?
Yeah. That's probably even that sort of amount on a weekly basis. The number of boxes being made up and going out the door, even in the short time I was there last week, was amazing. So there's how to get involved. How if people out there feel they need help from the food bank, there's all the details about. I mean, obviously you can't just turn up and say I need a food parcel. It's entirely based on qualifying by means of need. So yeah, I mean, people who want to help the service or have a need of the service, all the information is there on that website.
Okay, I've put a link in the comment section, so if people want to have a look at that that site, please click on it. I tell you what, I didn't do this on the last one. Let's just quickly put in on that little note bit. Youth concern, that would be nice, wouldn't it? If we put a little link there so people don't actually have to do anything. If we put that in, that'll be a nice little idea. Because I mean, FBI has only just started using YouTube, so we're getting used to the new technologies. And let's put that in there. there we go. So I've put that link on there now, Mike, so that people can actually see that. And if they want to donate, obviously, to the food bank, again, that's the button's at the top of the page. I believe I just saw that. Yeah, there we go. Right at the top, right hand corner, donate, and I'm sure they can give you money. Same as obviously Youth Concern, they could actually do with that. So
yeah, well, there are many great charities, and I don't mind what people are supporting, but if they have a little bit they can spare, go to any one of the local charities that are all doing fantastic work at the moment. It really is marvellous to see.
And some new charities have set up just on the back of COVID, just to help people in this dire moment as well. So there's definitely a lot of good work going on there. So my hat's off to people. I mean, this is my bit. I mean, we don't get paid to do this or anything, so it's my bit of trying to help push some information out there. I mean, yes, I've got 2 kids, so I could go out there and do some volunteering. I suppose that wouldn't hurt me in a way, but hopefully me trying to push a few things on my sort of way of doing things. I'm trying to do a thing with Dr. Jacob Glanville of Distributed Bio. He's he was on the pandemic series on Netflix, and they're 2 years in front of everybody else and looking at antibodies. So one of the biggest things I'm trying to do there is, I asked Greg Smith last week, could he check to see if the government are in talks with Distributed Bio, because it's a small company. I mean, he used to work for Pfizer, and then antibodies, it can work within 20 minutes. So if he can do all these testing, I mean, he's in the testing phase at the moment, I think. So hopefully by September, there could be a possible solution. But I'm trying to just see if UK Parliament is actually helping them out financially, because they are a small company, and as it covered off in the Netflix series, they don't have the funding like the big major pharmaceutical companies do. And looking at what he does, I mean, to me, I've communicated to him a couple of times, and trying to get some information, and unfortunately his granddad passed away a few days ago, so sorry to hear for that. I sent a little message saying, sorry for your loss, but he's working really hard, and they could really do with some funding, and trying to push that information out there is kind of hard, and it takes a lot of work. To do a little snippet, like I'm saying, can take a good couple of hours on what I'm doing. But again, if you're bored, you're not doing anything at home, and you're sat there thinking, I'm bored, I ain't got nothing to do, there's loads of voluntary organisations out there who could really do with your help. So don't think for 1 second you do need to be at home bored watching TV, for instance, in the day. So, and like you said about
absolutely, and there are all kinds of things that people can do depending on their skills and what they've got to offer. And I think the Buckinghamshire Council website has pointers to, I think, most, if not all, of the local groups and the kind of help they're looking for. So buckinghamshire.gov.uk is the one to look at, and I think right up there on their front page.
Okay.
Community support hubs.
Well, I was hoping to show that when I finally got hold of Martin Tett. but let's have a look, see if I can quickly dig that up and make it a lot easier for people to find. I'll put that in the comment section as well, so that people know and they can find that. How cool is that?
That's great.
I'll see if I can quickly see anything. I mean, what they've got on there. I mean, libraries. Libraries is obviously to do with them. Planning and building control, bin collection. There's quite a lot of information they've got on their front page. So, care for adults. I mean, if I just put it up on the screen now, might be a nice.
A few questions come to me actually about bin collections, because there's been different limitations on the service in different parts of the county. I think here in Aylesbury Vale we've had the normal waste and the recycling still being collected, but the garden waste not happening. In other parts, I think they've certainly temporarily at least, not had their recycling collected. And the other question I asked is the rubbish dumps, the waste disposal site. There's been a rumour about allowing those to open up again. I don't know how much truth there is on that, but one of the sad consequences of that is that there seems to be a lot more fly tipping of rubbish around the area. Now, I certainly don't sympathise with anyone who says, well, the tip's closed, so it's the only option. I mean, fly tipping is a criminal offence and shouldn't be happening. People who are doing it are the ones to blame. But it does seem to be a consequence when this happens. It also seemed to be growing when they started charging for certain things at the tip. So I think if that could be reopened, I think a lot of people would see that as a positive. I know a lot of people have spent their spare time cleaning up their gardens, clearing rubbish from the loft and corners of the house, and I'm sure there's a lot of people waiting to take stuff to be disposed of or recycled, hopefully. So we'll wait and see what happens. That would be a good question for Martin Tett, actually.
That's why I've been trying to get hold of him. There's loads of questions I have. I mean, people speak to me, they don't necessarily want to go on camera, so to speak. I mean, I'm thinking of, for instance, setting up I don't know, maybe the people can comment, let us know, some kind of little interview thing where anybody can come on here and chat to me, and we can talk about any problems that they're having, not as Fraser Crane as I'm listening, but just as I don't know, tell us how you're doing, any good ideas that they've got in the Aylesbury, Buckinghamshire area. That's something I'm looking at, and people do say to me, the tip is annoying because they want to do some work in the house, because let's be frank, we're going to be locked down for about 6 weeks, so people could do a lot of work in the house. And it ain't been funny, come the summer, if we are free, wouldn't it be great that you've got all the work done in the house, that there is nothing else to do, that all you can do is go and have some fun? Wouldn't that be? So think, this is what people are saying. Well, you can imagine that, couldn't you? Why is this your first? Yeah, it's my first time here. Why is that? Because nothing left to do in the house. I finally could go out and enjoy myself. There you go. The whole family's here. We're all gonna have a good laugh. I mean, it's a perfect thing. I mean, the tip not being open. I understand. Again, I understand about social distancing. Again, this is what was going on with regards to obviously the cemetery. People do need to pay the respects, just like people need to get rid of their waste as well. People need to do things to allow them to stay sane, as I would put it. I mean, I've obviously probably worded it in the wrong way, and I'll probably get a few complaints in the way I've just worded that. But things like keeping yourself active. I mean, people say to me, "Oh, how is it not driving you Dally?" Was that actually no? Because I've got lots to do. If anything, this happening has actually created more for me, because I've had to kind of create a homemade studio. I've then got other things to do, so I'm used to also working from home. The only thing I'm not used to is homeschooling, which is another thing. Chasing my son up about it. it's just like trying to do a lot. I mean, that's another thing about doing this, another little show where people could just say, vent it off, and I'm sure loads of people would comment and give good advice as well, and get them on. Like an exercise. I need to exercise, for instance. I'm sure somebody could come on here and tell me some very good exercises that are not too, strengthful for somebody who needs to get back into doing that. But yeah, the tip is one of my next things, is on the list of things. I think it's I will try my best to get hold of Martin Tett. I know he's really busy. He does updates every day on the Bucks County. Well, actually on the YouTube. I think it's Martin Tett on YouTube. He does that.
It is, yeah.
A couple of weeks ago. But it's anything else that's tickling you at the moment? Then you want to get off your chest?
No, I think that's those are probably the main ones. I think the fact that there are still, it is now a very small minority, but there are still people just not following the rules on social distancing. Going on car journeys, attending parties, gathering in the park to sunbathe. I think the more people abuse the rules, the harder it's going to be, and the longer it's going to take to get back to normality. Those people are following the rules, and that seems particularly unfair to just once again make an appeal to people. The rules are here for a reason. You've got to follow them, no exceptions.
Yeah, maybe I need to get the Thames Valley Police on here as well, so that they can kind of like tell it as it is, because they must be experiencing. I mean, I look at they're on Twitter. Have a look on there. They have said things about they went past Edinburgh playing fields the other day, and that was clear of all youth, and that they will be keeping an eye on the situation. So obviously, if you kind of messaged in to say, look, you know, they're obviously not doing social distancing. So yeah, I mean, again, people of all ages. It's not just the youth. I'm going to say that. I'm going to stand up for the youth, as an old guy that I am, and just say it's not just the youth. I do know that they do it, and maybe they may be a bit blasé because it's, you know, less effect on them, or less chance of an effect on them. But there is people on all ages, and because where I live, I see a lot of people walk past because we have a little walkway that takes us onto the main road up by the Charities system, and I do look and go, really? I've seen you walk past about 3 times. It's either something I'm in the Matrix, or you've walked past 3 times now. So, you know, I mean, did I take a pill or not? I don't know. But it is really weird. It is. But what can the police do? I mean, they can fine you. I think they can imprison you as well, to be honest, if you're a constant offender. And I think that's really it, isn't it? Do you really?
Well, I think the approach is start out by explain, basically tell you to go home and stop breaking the rules, and then fine you, and as you say, if it's a persistent offender, as a last resort they can be put in prison. But that's the last thing the police want to be wasting their time on, and the prison cells full of people who just wanted to go out for a cornetto or something with their mate, and I don't know, that's made me really feel like an ice cream now. It just came to mind. But I'm not going to go out and buy one. No, not just yet. Not on my next shopping trip for essentials.
I've got to admit, I'm lucky my girlfriend makes ice cream, so I've actually got a tub of it now. But not to make you jealous. All right, so if you don't live, and again, young love, you know, it sees no bounds. I do think there's a lot of that as well. I do think that they haven't seen they haven't seen their other partner, and it's like, well, why can't I? This is stupid. We'll keep the 2 meters apart. Really, of course you will. You know, meeting up in that secret sort of thing. I think that there's a lot of that going on as well. That may be something, I don't know, but like I say. My girlfriend, she lives in her own house and everything, but you know, I drop stuff off. I do the shopping. I'll drop that off for her so she can stay inbound. But it is one of those things. It's you know, I've had a chat with a couple of people, and it is a bit like, but I haven't seen them for so long. It's like, well, yeah, but you know, if we all, it's about protecting them as well. Just because, you know. You may not think you have it. You don't know if they have it or they haven't got it. So, you know, it's about protecting everybody. And when they go home, who lives at home? So just because, you know, I mean, my next.
That is the thing, and I'm in the same position as you, Martin. I haven't seen either of my kids for several weeks, even though they live quite locally. I haven't seen my partner for 5 weeks now. And I know people are saying, well, they are my family, so even though we don't live in the same house, they're still my family. But then you interact with them, they interact with a couple of other people, and then it just spreads and spreads. You've just minimising the number of interactions between people. I think we've talked about the graph or the figures in one of our previous discussions. If the social distancing is maintained, then over a course of a month, the number of ongoing infections is dramatically reduced.
It goes from about
because it just
4,000,
goes exponentially, doesn't it?
Yeah, it goes from about 4,000 to 2.5 or something, or 5 or 15.
Yeah.
I think it's 15. Yeah, we did talk about that. I mean, to me, it's getting the R0, the R down, so up to an R0 is what they say. If you hear of it, that's the replication or whatever they call it to the amount of people. So I think we're at the moment 0.6, 0.7 in the last couple of press conferences that there's been. So yeah. The point is people are, you go back and who's going to be affected if you do, because when you're walking to somebody, you may pass somebody who has that virus, and then all of a sudden you've got it. I mean, incubation period is about 5 days, I think. 5 days before it starts to show. So, you might touch something that somebody else has touched. So by going
you go to someone else's house, you knock on the door or ring the bell. You don't know who else has been touching that doorbell or door handle. I think you've just got to think of it as assume everyone else around is infected and treat it accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. Wear gloves. I'm okay. What's your feeling on masks? Now I'll tell you mine first. So I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. As much as some people may say so. It's because the professionals out there are saying masks don't work. For instance,
can make things worse.
Pardon?
Can make things worse. Some have said can be a place to actually harbour the virus for longer in close contact with your face. I don't know the science, but there is definitely an argument to say, and also, do they lull people into a false sense of security? I'm going out with a mask on, so I'm all right. Doesn't matter whether I walk within less than 2 metres of someone. This mask is going to protect me.
Okay, so you're right there. That's exactly what they are saying as well. For me, I wore the mask since day one, and I wore that. Now I use the same mask, and it probably doesn't do me. It won't protect me in any shape, way, or form from getting it. The point is, if I sneeze, cough, if I have got it and don't know I've got it, because obviously if I have got it, I've got to stay in for 2 weeks. But if I don't know I've got it and I go out, and anyway, I wear a mask. If I sneeze or cough, it's a barrier to reduce the distance that, I'll probably cover my mic then, it reduces the barrier, it gives a barrier to reduce the distance that, it can go. That's how I look at it. And I said this to a woman 3 weeks ago, because I said, I'm wearing a mask actually to protect you more than actually for me, because depending on what, I think it's a 3M mask, ones with these valves on, they're only good for anyway half an hour, because the moisture, and I think that's what you're referring to, the moisture breaks down the fabric, which then allows obviously the virus to get in, or the germs or whatever. So and that's what I'm saying. But for me, if I cough, splutter or anything, I'm reducing the risk of the distance that it goes. So instead of it going, I think they say, obviously the 2 metre rule is because of that reason. So when you cough or sneeze, or it goes 2 metres. But by doing that, I'm actually capturing more within the mask and stopping my germs from getting out there. That's how I look at it. So, and there's a lot of people in China and other countries now who are wearing masks. So it is a personal thing at the moment, and I think they made the thing in America as well, haven't they? Certain states that you must wear a mask. I think wearing mask. Okay, let's not make. Again, I can't say this enough. We've got to allow enough for the front line to have their masks. Now there is stuff out there about how to make your own mask, where you get a cloth, you fold it over 3 times. I mean, don't listen to what I'm saying. Look it up on YouTube. Maybe I can find it for next time. You can create your own masks. Pretty good ones as well. I'm quite impressed actually. Maybe that's what I should do, but I'm too busy doing other things. But what I do,
they work, do they? Are they not necessarily proven, but are they regarded as effective? Because I don't own a mask. I haven't been able to get one, and if suddenly we had to start wearing them, I wouldn't be sure. Well, all of a sudden there'd be a rush on any shop or place that had them, and I think there'd be a bit of a difficulty. So if it is possible to make your own, and that would be effective, then I'm sure people would be very interested in knowing.
Okay, I'll dig it up and I'll retweet it. If you go onto our onto FBL on Twitter, and I'll try and find it for Facebook as well. But I'll try and retweet it. But there was, I think it was the chief medical officer in America. He's from the army, I think he is, or from the navy or whatever. I don't know. But he's done a video or something on how to create a mask. And I ain't being funny, but if the military tell me how to make a mask, I'm pretty much going to follow it, because they know they've been through enough, you know.
Yeah,
they're going to know how to do it. And I mean, the snippet I saw was, you know, him just folding it over and doing whatever. I mean, I didn't really listen to it. I just saw it as I was scrolling through some stuff. But I'll go back and I'll look for that and I'll retweet it, because, again, just reducing, not allowing this virus to get out, you know, is, you know, as important as not allowing it to get in. So to me, you know, again, it's just my personal idea on things. Whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know. But yeah, it'd be worth something. I never know. I'll tell you what, how about if I find it, I'll send you a link as well. We'll both try and create one for an update next week, and we'll see who comes out the best. Our little pet project. There we go. Mike?
Yeah. Competition as to whose mask looks the best.
There we go. I wonder if we could do that. Who can make the best mask? That'd be quite cool. See how many people actually can come up with a mask and send it. There we go. Send it in. I don't know. Tweet us. Put it on Facebook. I don't know. Maybe we can get the Aylesbury Town Council to put something up, and maybe people send it to you, and maybe you lot can vote on it. There you go. The mayor votes on the best mask made. Maybe age groups as well. There's an idea. Age groups. There you go. You've got, you know what I mean. There's a link. This guy's showed you how to build a mask, and let's see how you get on. So there's a change, isn't it? You know,
give people something to spend a bit of time on.
I think that'd be quite a great idea, especially if it's covering here. They could have a message: "I'm protecting you," or, you know, like, "I love Aylesbury Town Council," or "I love the mayor." There you go. Mike, as always, mate, really, really, really good to speak to you. Is there anything else before we go really off on?
We've covered a lot of ground tonight, haven't we, Martin?
Pardon?
We've covered a lot of ground tonight in our discussion.
I think we have. And over the last 3 weeks, so it's greatly appreciated. And I do think it's not a lovely little avenue, and also goes to show what the Aylesbury Mayor does and the Aylesbury Town Council can do, and that they are willing to communicate as well, which is very important. So once again, Mike, have a good week, and hopefully things will keep on continuing to improve. And if there's anything, I don't know, if there's anything of urgent need, and we need to do a big, massive news bulletin, maybe so, but we'll catch up next week if that's okay.
Okey-doke, no problem at all.
All right, so don't forget, donate to the Aylesbury Food Bank if you can, or give them a van, or lend them a van, or even drive round for them in your own van. And also Youth Concern, they could also do with some donations. They do a great bit of work. One little thing to add to that: the youth is our tomorrow, or is our future. So looking after the youth is definitely a good thing. So if you can donate, do donate. Mike, have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, Martin. Bye for now.
Bye.